to first start with my darks. So I'm just grabbing the burnt sienna. I didn't have any medium other than the Gamsol that I did dip my brush in and then wipe it off a little bit. So let's see, I'm going to go right about here. Create a soft hard edge. And I'm going back over the darker areas because it is completely dry. Okay. Make sure I've got my reflective light happening here. I'm just lifting off some of that paint, bringing it around. And I'm going to soften this just a little bit right in here. There we go. Okay, now if you notice this tone right here is almost the same as this tone right here. So that's what's going to help that one kind of get lost, that diffused edge. And I just lost this edge to the egg into the towel right there. And that's fine. Looks like it's all nestled in a nice fold, like that. All right, so I'm going to continue on, still adding in my darks. I'm going to define this one right here. So if you notice what I did there, I made a hard edge on this side, and then the opposite side I made another hard edge. That's one of the things that's going to help it look a little more three-dimensional as well, is opposing sides and then having a hard edge, and then that means that because opposing sides are having a hard edge, I'm going to have adjacent sides have a soft edge. I'm just going to soften this just a little bit using a dry brush. Kind of blend that in, taking the dark and moving it into the light. And how I'm just softening it is just tapping it into the already dried area. There we go. It looks good and nestled too. Accentuate this right here. Yeah, that made it look better. So what I was thinking there is I saw this really light highlight right here. And where there's light, there's dark. So I wanted to bring this one a little bit darker. And this is where that artistic license comes into play, because you know I don't really see that in the picture, but I'm thinking that. So, and you get to do that too. You can like change things and make it look the way you want it to look. That's why I like working from photos actually, so I can try and make things look better in the painting than they do in the photo. Okay. All right, continuing in my darks. Actually, I see something here that bothers me slightly. I'm going to soften that one. It's got a hard edge here, soft edge, that blends in a little bit right there. So let's see. And this actually has a diffused edge that goes into the shadow area. Occasionally wiping off my brush if it's pulling in a little too much paint. Okay. It's got a nice hard edge, right? There, I want to deepen up a little bit. Deepen it up, I'm just adding a little bit more paint. Okay. Let's soften this edge, that line. Add a little bit of Gamsol to my brush because it was getting a little bit too stiff. So I'm going to add a little Gamsol and work on moving the paint that's already on here. Softening my edges a little bit between the transitions between medium and dark values. There we go. And this fold that's happening right in here, I know I've got another dark shadow right in here. And then it's actually got a little bit of reflective, and then it goes into dark again. So I'm just accentuating those again by adding a thin layer of this burnt sienna. It just kind of naturally creates a glaze on it. So that's one easy way to kind of get a darker look without applying a lot of paint. Now, another thing to point out is I do paint standing up. And the reason why I paint standing up is most of the time, I should say, most of the time I paint standing up. So that way I can back away from my painting, and it just creates more movement, because if you get kind of all hunched over, it's not exactly good for your back. So this way, I'm trying to stand up straight and improve my posture. But sometimes, you know, I get a little slouchy and I get into it, and then, you know what happens? Oh, you get these little cricks. And then you got pop them. So I know nobody really appreciates the popping noise.